Nobody has perfect feet. Nobody. We put so much pressure on them with all the walking, shopping, working out, not to mention expecting them to wear horrible footwear that looks great but could be more ergonomic. Sandals in the summer, wool socks in the winter, those dogs of ours are under assault all year and we have to care for them. They are family after all. Oh, for feet's sake by barmaids can turn your little piggies from a source of shame to a claim to fame in 2 weeks or less. Those tootsies deserve better, so let barmaids give them some love, boys and girls. Infused with tea tree oil and natural moisturizer, it's healing protection that your feet can feel. If your feet are really feeling strained, go to www.bar-maids.com for barmaids. Oh, for feet's sake. Show those babies some love and attention because, let's be honest, you're never going to stop walking all over your feet. Hi, and welcome to Knitting Blooms. This is episode number 70, and I am Tina, also known as Bloomingknitter, and this is
Angela, also known as KnitNut67.
And she's my guest host today. Everybody on the birthday thread from last year or earlier this year, the birthday podiversary thread, a lot of people mentioned that they wanted to see some guest hosts. So Angela's my first, other than the club from what last year when we did the podcaster challenge. So we're going to just go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to try and knit while we talk today. It's not what I normally do, but I'm going to try. And I have my show notes here. There hasn't been much going on this week for me. I didn't knit as much as I thought I was going to knit this week. But the next 2 weeks should be a lot more knitting because my boss is leaving on Sunday for Europe. So he's going to be gone for 2 weeks.
I just love that. Every time I hear you say that on the podcast, I just get so jealous. What do you mean she gets to knit at work? That's awesome.
Yeah, and usually the week before he goes on a big vacation like this, he's crazy and insane and just trying to get all the loose ends tied up. So this week was pretty crazy, but then we need 2 weeks to recuperate from
him being crazy.
Yeah,
sure.
So, and today is September 1st, and I did my little stash evaluation earlier this week. I think I did it on Thursday because I knew I wasn't going to be taking anything else out of stash. But I am down to just over 90 miles. I think it's like 90 point something miles.
I'm not even going to figure out what mine are.
And really, that's just the stuff I have on Ravelry. There's acrylic yarn that I don't have in my stash on Ravelry, that's charity yarn, and some cotton that I don't have. So it's not everything, but it's the bulk of my stash.
I just don't want to know what I have.
So, well, I'm trying to get it down mostly because I really do not want to go over 100 miles. And with going to Rhinebeck and knitting in the mitten in the next couple of months, it's going to be crazy. And really, I'm going to try and really love the yarn or fiber that I buy when I go to Rhinebeck. That's my plan anyway.
Yeah, I think you have to love it when you buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that has to be a rule, otherwise you could buy something at every shop. I mean, it is gorgeous, but you have to love it. You have to set that rule for yourself.
And you recently went to Michigan Fiber Fest.
I did. I went to Michigan Fiber Festival, and I had a really great time. I kind of felt like I was there by myself. I didn't know very many people. My boyfriend Carrie and his son Dylan came with me, so by all means we had a good time, but I'm putting the shout out now. Next year, I'm not going by myself. I want people to come with me, and I want it to be a gang event.
And you camped there, right?
We did camp. We have a camper that holds 6 very comfortably, and plenty more if we're just going to party in the afternoon.
And did you go to any classes or anything?
I did, and I brought some goodies to show. The first class that I took was a gauge class, and it was called get gauge or not, and the teacher was awesome. Her name was Nancy Schroyer, and we had a little homework that we had to do first, and I brought it with me. I kept it for just, memories. We were told to knit just on a worsted weight wool, just a 4-inch square. I think that was a 4-inch square. We did a little garter stitch at the bottom so that it wouldn't roll, but of course mine is rolling. And we did so about that much on a size 8 needle. And it was interesting that there was like 9 of us in the class, so she went around, everyone had a worsted weight wool, and everybody was using a size 8 needle, and we did a measurement and how many stitches to the inch did every single person get. So of course everybody was slightly different, so that was the point of it. Then she made a switch, and that's what this area is here, to a size 7 needle, so that you could see the difference in your fabric, feel the difference in your fabric, understand what's going to be the best fabric for the needle and the yarn. And then you go to your pattern and you start to, we did a lot of math on figuring it out, and then how to adjust your pattern to your stitch size and things like that. So it was a lot more than I ever thought it was going to be, and it was very interesting. So I learned a lot because, number one, I rarely ever knit the suggested yarn for a pattern. I'm pretty fortunate to be gifted lots of types of yarn, so I try to knit out of my stash, and when I find something I really love, I try to match it up. So it was that was an awesome class. So that was one of the classes that I took.
Now you're using, on that swatch you have a single yarn. Did it's a single ply?
Yeah. Oh, she talked about that, yes.
Yeah, did she say anything about that?
Yeah, she talked about how you get like these railroad tracks when you have a single ply yarn, and I was looking at it and I'm like, hey, look at that. You do. So I don't know if you could see that on the camera or not, but it's kind of weird how you get to see like one of the slanted stitches all kind of are a little bit more pronounced or something. So she did talk a little bit about that, and when I held it up to somebody else who didn't have a single ply yarn, it was kind of cool to see the difference, I guess. So she did talk a little bit about those types of things.
Yeah, and I think that that kind of railroad thing happens with the twist of the yarn too sometimes.
Yes, that's exactly what the teacher said. Yeah. Nancy. So I never really noticed it. I guess, there's my something new. Actually, lots of something news for that class, but so yeah, I learned a lot. That was a great class. So that was Thursday morning, I think, and then I roamed around the market Thursday afternoon. And then on Friday, I took an all-day Fair Isle design class. And I have never knit Fair Isle before, but I've knit intarsia, and I've knit, just different types of things. And I literally spent 3 hours drawing dots on graph paper. So we started with... Hold it closer. Dots on graph paper. So we started with box 1 up here. And she just said, make some sort of a design, and then, triple it, and then make it backwards, and then make it mirror image, and make it on top of each other, and then mirror image on top of each other, and then kind of do this and this, so mirror both directions, and then, pick another design, and let's do it again. The first one was, I think it was 6 by 6, and then this second batch is 8 by 8. So I literally spent 3 hours coloring boxes and listening to her say why this was so important. And this teacher was an incredibly awesome teacher. I can't wait to go back next year and take another class from her. And her name is Kathleen Taylor. And I don't know if she's got a shop or she just calls herself Dakota Dreams. She lives in North Dakota. She was just a hoot and interesting to listen to, and she's got a blog, and she goes all over the place teaching. So then what we did was we turned that into color by creating, let me make sure I don't lose my spot here, but we had to bring colored pencils with us, and then we started to draw our designs in the color of yarn that we thought it was going to be. Cool. So that's what we did for probably the second half of the class. So I'll put this back here so I don't forget where it was.
And that's for a hat.
And that's for a hat. So I just literally grabbed, they said, you know, pick worsted weight yarns, preferably wool, and, you know, knit the beginning of the hat, and then just bring whatever you have from leftover projects or whatever, and that's literally what I did. I just went through all of my just bits and pieces and brought stuff, and some women actually purchased yarn, so they had like coordinating colors and everything, and she's talking and I'm looking down at my colors going, oh, this is going to be interesting. So this was an acrylic. This first one's an acrylic that I had, and it's going to be a picot edge hat, so when I'm done it's going to get stitched up and kind of look like that. So the blue was my homework that I had to have done before I got there, so now you can see this gold. You know, being in Michigan, I made a friend a blue and maize double knit Michigan hat, so that's my leftover from that. And this other stuff is kind of I call it kind of a variegated fall colors that somebody actually kind of just left at my house after one of our yarn swaps. So yeah, there's what it's looking like, and then there's the picture again. That's how much I've knitted so far.
That's very cool.
So I'm so excited. I'm loving it. So I'm excited to do a bunch of Fair Isle.
Yeah.
So that was a whole day class on Friday, and that was a lot of fun. And then Saturday I decided, I'm gonna do something different. I refuse to spin, and everyone in the group knows that I refuse to spin. I have a hard enough time getting projects done. You know, when the yarn is already there for me to get started, and I feel like, gosh, you do all that work and you don't really have a finished product. You now have to take it in and now knit something or do something. So, you know, I'm working on basically the shawl that never ends right here, and I think you actually helped me cast this on, because I did an adjustment to the pattern, and it's been well over a year that it's been on the needles. I didn't take any spinning classes, and I was looking at the other classes, but I did take a silk scarf dyeing class, because I guess silk, well, it's a fiber, right? And you can do some needle felting on silk. So this is the first scarf that I made, and literally it was a very, very simple process that is going to be the perfect little project for like girls' night with lots of wine. But it's a plain white scarf, and you use this stuff called bleeding art paper. And you basically lay it on the scarf and spray it with water and let it bleed. So I just kind of ripped up bits and pieces of paper and did that.
Cool.
So, and then, you know, my mind was turning and listening to everybody talk and watching everybody do their things. And then I came up with what I call my masterpiece. I love this, and everybody loved it in the class. But when I laid it out, I called it Vineyard. I don't know if you can tell, but you can kind of see the grapes and the stems and the different leaves and stuff. So I really had a ball making this one. I loved this one.
Very cool.
So, not that I need a new hobby in my life.
And this was just paper that had some dye in it that you just laid on it.
It literally looks like regular tissue paper.
Huh.
And but it's not regular tissue paper. It's called bleeding art paper, and that's it. It's got the dye in it, and as soon as you get it wet, it just starts to, you know, just bleed onto the fabric. You can't do anything too, I guess, perfect, something that needs definition. You need to keep more to the abstract. One woman tried to make a bluebird. Another woman tried to make the red wings wing, and she did a really awesome job in kind of cutting out the red of the red wings, you know, the little tire and the wing and everything. I should say wheel, not really tire, but then when she put it down on her scarf and wet it, you know, and it started doing the bleeding thing, you couldn't even tell what it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's still a red and white scarf. You can still wear it.
Now, did the tissue paper disintegrate, or
nope?
You just had to pick it up after?
You just laid it out, left it to dry. We kind of put it out in the sun to kind of help. And then what you have to do is just like when you dye your yarns, you do have to do the whole kind of vinegar bath to set it.
Okay.
So I've worn each of these once so far. I did not have any dye rub off on my neck or anything like that.
That's good.
So good first step. I was not in the rain or anything like that. But I don't know what's going to happen when I wash them. I guess, I don't know, I'll have to get some dyer's tips on washing things. Obviously it'll be a gentle hand soak or something like that. But so that was just really fun to do something different. So.
Yeah.
I did bump into a few people. Hi Becky, hi Deb. Saw you guys there. So we bumped into each other. I heard of a few of the crew from around here that went, but I didn't see them. But I mean, it's just huge. So much to see. I did. Oh, one other thing, just for a little fun. When at Knit Away, Deb taught a needle felted class. So one of the booths was doing needle felting. Ooh. So that's my Insta creation from needle felting. It's my new bookmark. Cool. So getting a little bit into needle felting, I guess. So I did that as well. So lots of fun, different little things to try. So it was gorgeous. Oh, I take that back. Thursday it poured, but it didn't really bother us. We were inside barns and stuff like that, and being that we have a hard-sided camper, it doesn't ruin our fun. It poured, but I love the rain. So, but it was great. We watched a sheepdog demonstration on herding, and one night we just got to walk around the barns. It was like 8 o'clock at night, and it was kind of quiet. And they shut up the barns around 9, so they kind of kicked us out. But we just walked among the sheep and the goats and the alpaca and the rabbits.
And did you camp right at the fairgrounds?
Yeah, we were on the fairgrounds.
Cool.
If you've ever been to Allegan County Fairgrounds, there's you go in and there's where the barns are, and there's some campsites that are literally right there. I call those the party campsites. Everybody wants to be together and whatever.
Yeah.
But being that I was with Carrie and Dylan and they were excited about fishing, you go down a hill and there's the lower parking lot. And all along the edge of that lower parking lot are camping sites. And it's the Kalamazoo River back there. So we had our camper, I called it the outpost. It was a big 5-minute walk, from the main area, which was, felt like forever because everything was so close. But Dylan was able to just kind of cast a pole right in the back of the campsite.
Wow.
So we were kind of camped right there. Carrie said it's the best campsite he ever camped at. You have if you're a camper, there's electrical hookup, there's water hookup. The way it's set up, if you're a rustic camper and all you have is your tent and your cooler, you are still good to go. They charge you not per site, like a lot of places do, but they charge you per what they call dwelling. If you're going to sleep in it, then they're charging you. Whether it's your camper, your tent, or your car, if you're sleeping in it, that's your dwelling. So it's not like you can say, this is my area, and I've rented this area, and I've got 3 tents. It's no, you have 3 tents, so you pay you pay 3 times.
Okay.
So, there were very few of us back there, but a couple, and so it was nice and quiet, and it was awesome. I liked Michigan Fiber Festival.
Yeah. And did you buy anything?
I did. Of course I did. Let's see. Oh, of course. I'm for Knit Away. We're gonna do the knit along, or I'm sure some people have already started.
Yeah.
But again, I have a decent size amount of stash, so I try to knit for my stash whenever possible. But I went to Michigan Fiber Festival with the idea in my head that I was buying my yarn for the Knit Swirl Knit Along for Knit Away.
And actually, I'm going to talk about my Knit Swirl today, so I have the book right here.
I'm so excited because I should be getting the book for my birthday, and if I didn't literally say, go buy the book now at Knit Michigan, and I'm going to tell you which barn it's in, but you have to at least find the vendor. So I'm expecting it for my birthday, but I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Only a couple weeks to go.
This is what I found that I love. It's a alpaca, and there's the, I'll do like Tina. There's the little tag, and Heather Prime alpaca. It's a super fine alpaca spun in Peru. They call it a navy, but the heathering has a little bit of like a turquoise, a little bit of a purple. The name of the booth is Weaver's Loft from Indiana. The woman was a joy to speak with. I saw some stuff that she dyed that just screamed Tina.
Now, did she dye? She spin this or just dye it?
Nope. She purchased this as is from Peru. I seem to be on a little bit of an alpaca kick these days, but the little bit of turquoise, the little bit of purple. I'm thinking of doing the kind of that shorter black jacket. That's kind of, I could possibly wear to work, so I wanted a color that was maybe a little bit more subdued.
Not that one?
Yeah. No, maybe that was it. I don't remember. But anyway, I mean, I asked her, I'm like, this feels kind of fine. Is it a DK? She said, oh, it's absolutely a DK, because it was hanging below the sign that said DK, but I'm thinking it might not be a DK. It might be a little bit skinnier.
Yeah.
So, we'll figure it out. Whatever it works out to be, then I will figure out the jacket that goes with it. I thought it was maybe one of the last ones.
Well, I was looking for a black shorter black jacket, and I don't see it.
I think it was black.
There's a black one, but that's long.
No, that's too long. It's, oh, no, it's not that one. Anyway, so we'll see. Oh, you know what I didn't bring was, in the gauge class, I bought a wraps per inch tool, which was very cool. So I'm going to kind of, as I kind of take this out of the hank and wrap it up.
Is it this one?
Maybe it's that one, the purple one. But I don't like that, so I don't think it's that one. I don't know.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You could skip that part.
Can you skip that part?
I'm sure you can.
Okay. So I'm looking forward, to putting on the little wraps per inch tool and seeing.
So that's the one she's thinking about doing.
What it is, and you know, I think the every weight yarn is in this book.
Yes.
So whatever this ends up being, I'm just gonna figure it out. So I'm very, very excited I bought this. Oh, and I bought this. I couldn't resist because it was such a good cause. I don't need sock yarn. I've got tons of it. And I should really start knitting socks again. But it's called the Bella Sorella Sock Kit. And it is, the woman is Ellen's Half Pint Farm. And I believe I was speaking with Ellen. And she makes these sock kits to support a cancer walk that she does. Her sister Carol has cancer. It's called the Prouty, I think. The Prouty, Prouty. And it's every July. She sells the sock kit for $25. 15 of it goes as a donation to the Prouty for the walk that she does. She had just finished the one in July, and she had hoped to raise $1,500 last year, or this year I should say, and she raised over $2,700.
Wow.
So she's already fundraising again, and on her website she's got some new things. Somebody's making her handmade backpacks, and she's also doing a scarf kit, same kind of thing. So, you know, beautiful sister is what Bella Sorella means, and here, I'll hold up the yarn again. You can see that they match, but they're not quite exact. So if you have a sister, you kind of know that that kind of makes sense, right? You have similarities with your sister, but you certainly are not exactly alike. So she talks about, well, you can make one in one skein and one in the other skein, or you can bring them together and kind of, you know, have fun with it, was what she told me. So. And then I bought this cool button, and her sister, when she has the energy, actually makes the buttons. I don't know what you call that stuff, but it's kind of cool.
Oh, is that like Fimo clay?
Something like that. It's kind of plasticky, right? So I put it in here so I wouldn't lose it. What else did I? Oh, I bought a book. Of course, now I took my Fair Isle class, so I'm Miss Queen Fair Isle. Where'd my book go? There it is. So I actually bought this on a used book rack. But this purse, if you notice the purse down here, when I was walking around one of the upper barns, there was a shop that was selling leather. And, ta-da, Homestead Heirlooms. And at the last Fiber Festival that they were at, the author of the book, Mary Scott Huff, and her sister hung out with them for the entire festival. And she said, like, every hour they changed their sweaters. And she said these sweaters were amazing. And, you know, when I first picked up the book, you know, I do my quick flip, and I was just reading the instructions in the back about Fair Isle, and I'm like, okay, this is good. I've never knit Fair Isle. I need to know these things. And then I started to flip through the patterns, and I loved them. I thought that they were just cool. I don't know that I would wear some of these sweaters, but, like, especially like this goldfish pattern, I could see putting that on like a hat or a purse or something like that. But I fell in love with the bag. And she had the original bag, this exact bag that was knit as a sample. And she said that where the bag was hanging, all of the handles were the exact handles for the bag. So I have some great burgundy yarn that I think will work. And I figured I thought these would go really well with the burgundy yarn. And then I would do like a burgundy and keep this color in it as well. And then figure out the third yarn, hopefully. So I might, you know, do that one of these centuries. And then she's like, feel your handles. I'm like, yeah. She's like, you know, they're kind of rough and stiff. And she's like, now feel these handles. And she said, this bag's about 3 years old. And it was just soft and just so wonderful. So she's like,
they wear in.
They wear in as opposed to wearing out. Exactly. So that was fun. What else? Oh, well, of course I needed a cool scarf pin to go with my scarf that I made. And I discovered this wonderful artist, Gita Maria. And hopefully you could see it, that it's not going to be...
She has a website on the back, too.
Oh, she does? Yeah, just GitaMaria.com, GITAMARAA. And it's glass enamel on silver. So this goes very cool with my vineyard scarf. That's what I wore to work. And then I just thought this one was so cool. It's a little clasp. And actually the sweater, one of the sweaters that you were showing on the podcast last week, had like 3 buttons at the top and nothing. And I was looking at it going, oh, that'll be so cool for my clasp. So I just loved the colors on that clasp. So now I have to find the right yarn and get that pattern and do that. So I liked her stuff. It's, you know, it seemed a little more elegant, I guess, a little more upscale elegant, which is, I don't know, I try to go for something like that. So I think that's everything. I got some other stuff, but that's everything that I brought.
Oh, you want to be on the podcast too, Crystal?
Hello. So I'm taking over your podcast. You come.
That's perfectly fine. That's why I invited you. We're going to talk about finished objects. Do you want to talk about yours first?
Sure. I only have one little finished object. And it actually is a charity. So a little self-publication here. My little hat. I have a dear friend who lost twins earlier this year. And the hospital where she gave birth accepts donations of baby hats. So this is the baby hat pattern, although I didn't do a pom-pom. I did my own little thing there. And so I started a group on Ravelry called Mama's Boys, because that's what she kind of referred to the babies as during their short lives. And so I am trying to start a charitable knitting group for hats. So I have one done. So that's my finished object.
Yep, and it has to be a certain kind of weight, and it's a certain pattern and everything too.
Well, they give a pattern, and they say worsted weight. Quite honestly, I don't know that they would be too upset if you did something a little bit different. The one thing that they did say was no yellow yarn, because if the baby is jaundiced, the yellow seems to highlight that, and it kind of freaks the new parents out. So they want very little yarn.
Now, Crystal, can you get down?
Very little yellow, preferably none at all.
Now,
so.
this is this for a preemie? This is for a regular sized baby.
You know what? I just knit the pattern, exactly as it said. So this seems like a little bit bigger than a preemie to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make some adjustments. My friends' babies were, they were called micro preemies, I think. I mean, they were very small when they were born. So I'm going to try to knit some smaller hats with my next batch.
I've done a couple of preemie hats with sock yarn, and they're a lot smaller than that.
Yeah. I think this is just, the hat itself is not called a preemie hat.
Okay.
It's just the hat that they accept.
So do they only accept that hat? What if you do a preemie hat?
I think they'll accept it, absolutely. Like I said, the only real rule that they had was no yellow yarn.
Okay.
So, that's my little...
Now, I had a question from somebody a couple of weeks ago about knitting preemie hats, and I didn't know if there was any restriction on, does it have to be washable wool, or does it...
At this hospital, they don't say.
Okay.
So...
I mean, I would think that as a new mother, they would want washable, but if they're wearing them while they're in the hospital,
No, they take them home. I mean, when they give them to them, they're the child's cast.
Right, but the thing is they have to be washed.
Yeah, eventually. So I would recommend washable wool.
Yeah.
Or acrylic or something like that. But the hospital did not specify.
Okay.
Yeah, you like my yarn, huh?
All right, so let me talk about my finished object this week.
I'm dying to see.
I have a finished object. And it's in this big bag. What could it be?
I think I know what it is.
It is the Anishpeg sweater.
It's gorgeous. Oh, the camera does not do this sweater justice. It is beautiful.
So this is where I was last week, where my marker was. So I didn't have that much more to go before I started seaming it up. And really, I finished it, I finally finished, Crystal!
That's okay, you go ahead.
I finally finished the neck, I think it was Wednesday, which is why I did my my yarn stash evaluation on Wednesday, because I figured out that I was going to use 8 skeins, and the other skein is still in there, but it will be going into the prize bin, because I'm thinking...
No little, ear warmer, nothing to match, no matching accessories?
Oh, that sounds like a really good idea, but I don't know. But it did turn out wonderfully. It has not been blocked yet because I just finished seaming it last night. I did put it on for a brief second, and it fits me really nicely. So I really do like it. I hope it's cold enough at Rhinebeck to wear it.
Well, when is Rhinebeck again?
October. Crystal.
I went to school in upstate New York, so by October it should be cool enough.
Yeah.
There'll be a little bit of a warmth in September, but on October you should be good to go.
And the collar was supposed to be 4 inches, but I just didn't think I would want it. I did it about 3 inches.
Oh, yeah, that looks good for you.
And I just didn't think I wanted it to be 4 inches. But I really, really do like it, how it turned out. And when I block it, I mentioned before that at the bottom here, the cable has a little bit long, seems a little bit longer than the rest of it. But it's just because that seat stitch kind of pulls up, or the cable pushes down. But I'm going to try and stretch it out so that
I think when you block it.
Yeah. But I didn't block it because I knew it would be still soaking wet today if I tried that.
Excellent.
But that is done, and I'm so excited, which is why I'm going to be starting the Knit Swirl sweater.
Woohoo!
Yep, I said that I wanted to get this one finished before I started the Knit Swirl, but I will talk about all the projects that I'm going to start here in a little bit. So we'll talk about works in progress first. So you want to talk about your works in progress? I know you already talked about some of them.
Sure. Well, this work in progress, I bought this wrap book that I absolutely love, and Tina helped me to make this little edge here a little bit more severe, because some of us women that are a little bit more endowed than others sometimes need a little more breathing room, so I'm kind of giving it a little bit of extra room. So I'm making, and this was a cotton that I picked up, so I'd gotten a gift certificate to actually the yarn shop, your local yarn shop, here in where we are here, and here it is. So this is the pattern that I'm making. Actually, if I flip the page, I think there's a big picture. So
Oh yes, now I remember.
remember that one? So, one of these centuries I'll actually be wearing it. So that's one work in progress that I have. And then we have a bunch of buddies that get together about once a month or so and spin, and I don't spin. So I promised that when I came, I would do some hand spun. So I'm working on this in some hand spun. And I can't even remember when I picked this stuff up, but I'm very much enjoying. Oh, I remember where I got this. I got this on one of our lovely trips to Lansing. So just hopefully it's going to come out really cool.
It's got a nice texture to it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I picked it up on a clearance bin or something like that. That's usually when I do stuff. It's Rio de la Plata, and it's called Faded Red Brick. So I've got 3 skeins of that. I might be a smidge short, but I'm going for it. See what happens. We'll figure it out. So that's something that I'm working on. Remember at Knit Away when I started that vest and had a heart attack because there was the wrong lot?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't made much progress on the gray vest, but I have made progress on the burgundy vest. So it's just I didn't bring the book, but I probably can't see it very well. It's just called A Cable Slipover. It's out of a Debbie Bliss book. That's kind of what it's supposed to look like if you can see it. And then, so the back is done.
And that has a really nice texture on it too.
I love this. This has been fun. I mean, it's very repetitive. Once you get used to it, it's almost like doing stockinette. So, but it is a cable, and that's been a lot of fun to do. So that's the back, and I just finished the front. So I'm ready to start putting them together. So
Nice.
So I'm having fun with that one. So I think that's going to be a nephew gift. I have a couple nephews that are turning 1, so I think that'll be perfect for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I'm working on now, which I am going to see very soon, I'm so excited, is this little pattern, and it's called Zippy. Again, my little picture doesn't do it well. It was it's a Barocco pattern, and I'm actually it's one of the few times that I'm actually, hopefully you can see that I'm using, it's the yarn is Lullaby that I picked up at our very first Knitopia in Ludington, and I love this yarn. It's been a joy to knit with, and so I'm ready to block and start seaming and then kind of putting the collar together. So let's see, it's probably easiest to just kind of look at the back. Here's the back piece. They're all on my little stitch holders here. So that's the little back of it. So it's just got like a little garter at the bottom, and the whole rest of it is just stockinette.
Is it like a chenille?
It's a chenille.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there's like a garter, just edge going up the front. That's the right front of it. And there'll be a zipper on it. So when I leave you today, I'm going to go buy my zipper. And hopefully I might finish. I'm definitely going to finish this weekend. This was my big highlight of the weekend, was to come and visit you. It's a quiet weekend for me. So,
well,
yes, which I desperately needed. And so I think this will get done this weekend, which for me is a feat because I'm usually like on the airplane finishing the gift when I'm going to a party. So actually kind of ahead of schedule. So
That's cool.
this, so it's perfect. I mean, it's a 1-year-old. It's going to be a little bit big for him. It's, I think, going to wash very nicely, so my sister won't have too much of a big deal with that. So I brought all this stuff, and I think I showed you everything.
Okay. All right. Well, I will talk about my works in progress. These are my mom's socks that I am working on from my hand spun. This is where I was 2 weeks ago. I didn't show them last week, but I had done about that much. And then I've just been, since we've been sitting here, I've done, an inch or two. And I also have the first sock. I have the heel. There's that, and then the heel is up here. I haven't really done too much of the leg, just getting it to the point. But I am still very much loving the hand spun. I enjoyed spinning it. Are you going to sit still? And I just really, really like it. And I hope my mom's going to like it. Now, the second sock, I did notice, is slightly wider than the first. About 1/4 of an inch. I hope you can see that. But it's about 1/4 of an inch wider. I did try it on my foot. My mom's foot is about the same size. Her foot is a little bit longer and a little bit wider than my foot. And I did put it on my foot, and I felt like if it was a sock for me, I would be very happy with the feel of the way that the sock was. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it as is, and just keep working it, even though they're slightly different size.
Well, your feet aren't exactly the same size, so she just has to figure out which one's the bigger foot.
Yeah, and I have that same problem. My left foot is a little bit longer than my right foot. So I think it'll be fine. I am just about to the heel on the second one, so about another 3/4 of an inch before I get to the heel on that one. And the next project is my Fiddle Knits Mystery Shawl, which is coming right along. The third clue came out on Thursday, and I did get that started. I'm about halfway through the third clue. My marker here is showing you where I was last week, and I was about halfway through the second clue last week. And so far, it's going very nicely. I'm a little concerned because I chose to do the larger shawl, and we're on the third clue. There's one more clue left, and I still have this much yarn of the first skein. So, and the reason I'm concerned is because when I buy 2 skeins of yarn, I want to use most of it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that something in the final clue is going to make this shawl so much bigger. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, because really the difference, so far it seems like the difference between the 2 shawls is maybe like 50 rows. Maybe not even that many. And so, I don't know. I like the texture of it.
I do. That's interesting.
It's like she calls this pattern emergence.
Yeah.
It's like a bud. That first segment, and then the second one is the diamond or the leaves, and goes down, and then this next segment there's more like buds and little nubbies.
Well, you got to think you're on the last clue is the largest part of the scarf.
Yeah, but usually
You're into the second ball already.
Yeah.
Almost looks like a hood.
Yeah, because when it'll block out straight. So, I'm hoping that, like I said, something happens in the last clue that it's really going to get huge. But I'm also looking at the projects I'm going to start this week and thinking maybe I don't need a lot from the second ball, because you're going to just be amazed at the projects I'm going to start this week. I'm excited. I'm a little insane, I think. It's like it's going to be the month of the KAL, the knit along. Because almost every project that's going to be on my needles, every project that's going on my needles today is going to be for knit along.
I wish I could do knit alongs. I'm so slow, and
Well,
It's hard to keep up.
yeah, sometimes it is. They're fun because there's just so much camaraderie with the other people that are doing it, and a lot of the knit-alongs that I do are not necessarily specific knit-alongs where you have to knit this sweater or this pair of socks. It's more like, you knit like this one is. Obviously, it's a mystery knit-along where you're all knitting the same thing. Mm-hmm. But then there's other ones like, you use a certain type of yarn, or you're just knitting a certain project or whatever.
Right.
So it's hard for me to knit a lot of projects where you're knitting a specific project and everybody's doing the same project, just because I have so many things I like to knit and want to knit, and crazy. So that is my other work in progress, but I do have one more. And then I have the preemie blanket that I'm working on. Cute. Which is growing. Last week, I think, yeah, I did have some white there. Here's where my marker was last week, but now I've added the second yellow stripe, the yellow and white stripe, and it's just coming along. I think it's going to be, I'm about halfway, I think. So, and I did make the white, this center white, a little bit wider than the bottom one, so the two center ones are going to be a little bit wider. And then I think that once I get the second white one in the center, this one that I'm currently working on done, and then another yellow stripe, and then another shorter white stripe, I think I should be right around the right size for the blanket. And I'm still thinking about doing some kind of a crocheted edging. I'll probably use the yellow and white on the outside just to kind of bring it all together and jazz it up a bit. So that is it. And I still have plenty of yarn for this. I mean, I barely broke into these two skeins, so I'll have plenty of yarn for that. So that is my works in progress. Do you have any other works in progress did you find over there?
Nope, I told you everything.
Okay. Well, let me talk about my spinning real quick. I am still working on the Into the World Rambouillet, and it's so soft.
Oh, yeah.
It's very springy yarn when it's spun up. This is my first bobbin, and I'm showing it to you because the second one is still on the wheel. I did start the second one this week.
I think it's so amazing how different it looks. Like whenever you pop out the fiber, and I just see these big like tufts of color, and then when it goes on to, when it's all spun out, it just seems so much more even, I guess, color-wise. So
yeah,
interesting.
So I did split the fiber in two, and I don't think it was very evenly split, but what can you do? And I did start the first bit. I didn't get that much done. I have a picture that I can post to show you, but I think I spent maybe 2 hours this week on it, just when we were watching TV for a little bit, but it's slow going because it's so thin. It is going to be a fingering 2-ply when it's done. So far I like it. I did watch a spinning video this morning. It's Spinning Lace by Margaret Stowe. And she was talking about spinning merino, which has a lot of spring and to the fiber. And she talked about doing a short backwards draw, and which is what I'm doing with this fiber. And I guess I need to pay more attention when I watch those spinning videos and when they're talking about different types of fiber, because it took me probably a good hour to determine how this needed to be spun. And had I watched that video before, now maybe it wouldn't have clicked in, but I just was like, oh wow, that's how I'm spinning this, because she says that because of the crimp in the fiber, you have to do that backwards draw, because if you try and pull it, do the short forward draw, it just seems to spring back together too much. I can't really remember exactly what she said, but it made sense because that's how I figured out how I had to spin this fiber. And this is a Rambouillet. This is not merino, but it's got the same kind of properties as a merino does. So it's coming along. I'm not hating as much as I hated the Cormo when I was spinning at camp. That springy, downy Cormo that I couldn't stand. Now, maybe if I was spinning Cormo now, I would like it a little bit more after I've learned how to spin it, but
one day you'll find a Cormo that you just love the color and you're going to have to spin it.
Probably.
So that day will come.
Probably. So, I am not going to do a From the Stash this week because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 projects that I'm going to be starting this weekend.
Well, is any of that from the stash?
Yeah, that's why I'm doing from the stash. That's why I'm not going to do from the stash, because I'm going to tell you about what's in these bags.
Okay.
So the first one is the yarn that I'm using for the knit swirl sweater. It's Blue Moon Fiber Arts, and it's the Peru. It's 50% alpaca, 30% merino, and 20% silk. And it is a DK weight yarn.
See now,
and this is a lot
mine
thicker.
is supposedly a DK. Exactly. I'm like, this is no way a DK. She's like, it is. I'm like, look at the difference between that.
Yeah.
Mine's not a DK.
No, I think that's fingering. And it might even be close to lace.
I know there's patterns in the book that have the thinner ones. So
yeah.
I'm not worried.
And there is one that you can do with lace, and you might need to get another one. There's like one that has lace and...
It's kind of 2 weights, yeah.
So this is going to be for my knit swirl, and I'm going to do the, can't remember what it's called in the book, but it's the tangerine one.
Oh, yeah.
It's this one. With the little rosette. And I'm thinking about getting a pink ribbon to go through it.
That's going to look really good.
And then use some pink yarn to make the rosette.
That'll look so good.
So that's what I'm thinking. And I liked this sweater a lot because I really liked the back of the sweater. And I hope you can see it, but the eyelets start way down here and the back is solid. And almost all of the other sweaters have the eyelets on all of the back.
Oh.
And there was just something about that I liked, that it was a solid back. The ones that have eyelets anyway, because some of them that don't have eyelets. Now see this one has the ribbon in it too, but it doesn't have the eyelets. But a lot of the ones that have the eyelets go all the way up the back. So I liked that. I liked the eyelet detail, but then I liked the clean back. So I'm hoping to get that started so that I can take this on the road with us when we go to Rhinebeck, because I think that, you know, you're knitting in circles all the way. I mean, I don't know how many stitches this one's going to take to cast on. A lot. 800 and some odd stitches, I think. And you're just knitting in the round for so long that I think it'll be a good car knitting project. As long as I know, you know, where I am. This one, it looks like I'm going to be casting on somewhere around 500 to 600 stitches.
That's so scary.
Yeah, and then join it in the round.
Lots of stitch markers and a little patience, and have a glass of wine waiting when you're done.
Yep. So, but I want to be able to get it started and get a good bit of it going so that I kind of have an idea, so I'm not trying to read a pattern in the car.
Yeah.
And with this, I ordered this yarn at the same time, and I think that the dye lots are, there's no dye lots when you talk about hand-dyed yarn. But I think that they probably, because Blue Moon Fiber Arts, they dye to order most of their yarns, so I'm guessing that when I ordered 4 skeins at one time, I'm guessing that they dyed them all at the same time. But I'm still going to alternate skeins.
just to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they could still be slightly different.
Right. So I'm going to do 2 rows, 2 rows, the kind of alternate like that. So I'm going to have to wind these up. And these are big skeins. They're 500 yards each. So I'm guessing that I'm going to break them up in half and in half because I don't have one of those bulky ball winders.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So there's no way I'm going to be able to get 500 unless I had one of those bulky ball winders. So I'll just break it whenever the ball winder gets decently full. Looks like it's about half.
Yeah.
So I'll have more ends to weave in, but it'll be a little bit less cumbersome to deal with. So that's project number 1. Let's see what's in this bag. Okay, this is project number 2, and all of these are knit-alongs. The Knit Swirl is the knit-along that we're doing with the for Knitopia next year, and this is going to be for my Henslow.
That's beautiful.
This is Hill Country Yarns, which I think is no longer in business, and it's the Superfine Superwash Sock Yarn. And it's in this beautiful melon color. It's a salmon color. And I'm getting this started because the High Fiber Diet Kagi and the Knittin' in the Mitten are doing the Henslow.
I'm
for
still
their
on the
knit-along.
waiting list. I
You
was
ne-
slow.
You never know.
You never know. I may just, no matter what, I'm seriously thinking about going for a day. It'll be a long day, but I'll probably still.
Well, you're a little bit further, but last year Laura drove out for the day.
I'll have to talk to Laura. Is she going this year?
Yeah, she's going, but she's going for the whole
Well,
weekend.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I'm the next person on the list, but whatever. It all just works the way it's supposed to work.
Yep. So this is going to get started because I'm going to go have lunch with another knitting friend tomorrow, and I wanted an easy project that I could just knit. And technically I could take my mom's socks, but, you know, I've been finishing up projects and I want to start some new ones. So that is the next new project that I'm starting this weekend. And see, I'm starting all these projects and my boss is going to be gone, so hopefully I'll have
Just jealous.
good progress. The next one is for the knit along, the self-striping sock yarn knit along with Diane of the Knittables. And I chose this yarn specifically because Diane gave it to me. And it's self-striping yarn from Hiawassee Creek Dye Works. And I figured it was the perfect thing because if I'm doing a knit along with Diane, why wouldn't I use the yarn that Diane gave me? So I'm going to start some self-striping socks with this for myself.
Very cool.
Sparkly, pink,
I like it.
green.
Very bright.
It's awesome. So again, this is Hiawassee Creek, and this is Charlie in the Box, is the colorway. So, and I have not used any Hiawassee Creek Dye Works fiber or yarn yet, so I'm excited about starting that. And the last project is a project that I've talked about before about starting. It's the Fall Mystery Knit Along, and I forgot who it was with. She's a dyer. I'll have to put it in the show notes, but I was going to order some yarn and I totally forgot. I thought that the knit along started the middle of September. It starts today.
Oops.
So I'm like, okay, so I frantically emailed her yesterday, or I think it was Thursday, and I asked her if she's still dyeing yarn. I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll order some, and I'm like, I really should just use something from Stash. And then I found out that I had to have beads with it, and I'm like, oh crap, am I gonna have beads? And then I asked her, well, maybe I don't need the beads right away. Maybe it's gonna be later in the process, and I can order some beads. And she said, nope, you need them for the first clue. So I had to go stash diving.
I was gonna say, like one of your very recent podcasts, you were talking about you had a lot of beads.
I do. And thank goodness that I have beads in this color. So I went stash diving and I needed a lace weight yarn. And this yarn is from Highland Handmaids, and it's the Mountain Laurel Lace. And I got this in the yarn club that was trifecta of awesome yarn. And I got this when I was a member of that club. and I have not used it. It is 70% baby alpaca, 30% cultivated silk. And again, it's from Highland Handmaids. And Amy of the Knitting in Circles podcast, and I think Heather, who also does the Fiberista files, they're doing a knit along with the Highland Handmaids yarn. So you just, any Highland Handmaids yarn, you can knit a project, and what you can enter it to win a prize. So I'm starting this now. I think that knit along goes September and October, maybe. I know that the self-striping one with the for Diane's is going September and October, so I'll have 2 months to do the socks. I'm hoping, even if I don't have 2 months to do the shawl, it's okay. It's a knit along, so I'm hoping to stay on top of it. But I do have beads to go with it, because I ordered a bunch of blue beads to do the other mystery knit along that I did that I just finished a few weeks ago, and I had a whole bunch of different blue beads. So it just so happens that these go quite nicely with it. I pulled all the beads out this morning, and I was trying to decide. I almost chose some other beads that were more multicolored, that were more purple and everything, but they had that blue tint to them. But I decided to just go with these. Crystal, you are a pain. Can you just sit right there? So that's the other project I'm going to start. I was worried that this particular yarn was not going to be good for the lace because it's alpaca, and you can see that it's got a little bit of a halo on it.
It does, yeah. But
And
it's not bad.
No, it's not. So I was kind of concerned about that, but I asked the designer when I had flaked and I didn't order my yarn in time. I said, well, this is what I'm thinking about, but it's alpaca and it's got a halo. She's like, oh no, it'll be fine. So this is what I'm going to use. So this knit along starts today. I'm sure that the pattern's out there. I haven't gone and pulled it yet, but I will go and pull that. I have my other mystery knit along that should have been ending this week, but they had a late start because some of the yarn did not get to its destination in time.
I remember you talking about that.
So they started that the following week. And so yeah, a lot of new projects going on the needles this weekend.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy, and I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't start all of them, but I really want to get them started, just because I know that over the next 2 weeks I'm gonna have lots of time at work to knit. And usually when I take my projects to work, I take this huge bag, my whole big stuffed bag, and I take all the projects, but usually I only work on 1 or 2 of them during the day, because you just work on that one, and then the next day I work on something else. So really, I should only really take 1 or 2 projects instead of all 8 projects I have on the needle.
I always take 1, and if I get 5 minutes to eat lunch and actually knit, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like a row or 2 done.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't ever have to bring more than 1 project with me.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. In fact, one of my knitting friends is going to come and have a knit day at the office with me on Thursday.
That's great.
So
I need a new job.
Yep, so we've been planning it for a while, and she's just going to come to the office and have a knit day. We're going to have coffee and lunch, and I'll have to answer the phone if it rings, but I'll just make sure all my work's done before Thursday, and then I can sit back and relax. So, let me go ahead and just briefly mention the charities this week. Again, the Dragonfly Soars, Vicky from the Dragonfly Soars podcast is doing the Susan G. Komen Walk in September. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. And you can still make a donation to enter to win for some prizes on her podcast. The 3 Stitches podcast is doing the Preemie Blanket drive, which is why I'm doing the Preemie Blanket. And that is going through October 14th. And did you want to mention your charity again?
Sure. It's called Mama's Boys, MAMA''S, Boys. And it's on Ravelry. and I would love to gather up some hats and get them to the hospital. So the pattern's online, and like I said, the hospital hasn't been very strict about the pattern, but it's it's an easy pattern. So would love it if some people would like to join the group and make some hats.
Okay. And we have some giveaways today for the Anything Goes KAL that we had for August. And I already drew all the numbers, and I have them all listed here on my sheet. And I just had them listed by how the pictures were in the thread, so it was easy. I just had them all listed, and then I did the random number generator and wrote down the numbers, and then went and found out who won. And nobody's number got picked twice, so that was good, considering that so many people had multiple entries. We had 450 projects.
Amazing. And you were first hoping for 150.
I know.
Then, wow, wouldn't it be crazy to have 300?
Right.
Yeah. I didn't have any. My last finished project was my little hat back in like July.
So, but yeah, it was really amazing. I was just blown away by all the projects. It was amazing. So the first prize is for the lace books, and I will put up a picture between us right here.
Lovely picture.
Hopefully I can put it in the middle. And that goes to number 185, and that's Knit Naps. And that is Susan from Arizona. She was at Knittopia, and she posted her retreat socks. She had dyed some self-striping yarn at the retreat, and she knit them up.
She was the one that was just with the loom, right?
Yes.
All day with the loom, getting it all lined up and perfect and wonderful, and oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm so happy
and her
for
socks are beautiful. They're beautiful. So congratulations, Sue. Get in contact with me. I think I have your address, but contact me anyway, because I want to make sure that you know you won. So I will get those shipped out to you. The second prize is for the sweaters from the top down, and that goes to number 80, Sock Bunny. And that's Kimberly from the Knit and Fit podcast, Sock Bunny Knit and Fit podcast. And she posted what I think is a recovery buddy. She's been doing a charity drive for the recovery buddies, and it was very cute. I think that's what it is. I tried to click through to a project page, but it didn't have the link to the project page, but I think that's what it was, and it was very cute. So Kimberly, get in contact with me, and I will get that book sent out to you. The third prize is for the Ella Ray yarn, and that goes to number 388, Knitopus. Natopus, something like that. Natopus? Yeah, I think
Catapus. There's
Catapus.
no N.
Oh, sorry. Catapus. Catapus. Anne. And she did the sideways sweater, which was very cool. So, Anne, congratulations. You have won the Ella Ray yarn. And so get in contact with me as soon as you watch the podcast, and I'll get that shipped out to you. And the next prize is the Lorna's Laces, and that goes to number 445. So somebody right there catching it at the end, and that is Lolly T, which is Laura.
Lolly T.
So congratulations, Laura. She had a baby sweater that she's been working on for a few weeks. So that's what she posted in the thread. And you know what? I meant to have my iPad all set up so that I could show these pictures, and then I forgot. So sorry about that. And the next prize is for the Knit Picks cotton that is to make a pillow, or you can choose to make whatever you want with it, but the pattern is for a pillow. And that goes to number 9, Miss G Knits, Gina. And she posted a shawl, which is the leaves on the line, and it was with a fiber optic gradient. It was very pretty. So congratulations, Gina. You have won the Knit Picks cotton yarn. And the last prize, which was donated by Beardy Love, the Queen of Hearts sock kit, goes to number 143, Sally from Idaho. So congratulations, Sally, you have won the Queen of Hearts kit. And she posted one of those ruffly scarves. Remember a few years ago at Knitopia, everybody was making those with the yarn that was like mesh, and you just knit, and then it made this big ruffly, lacy scarf. I think that's what she posted. So congratulations to everybody for winning and for entering and all the projects that was done. I mean, it just amazes me. 450 projects. Crazy. We'll be doing another KAL like that. I like that, just to see all the different projects that get completed in a month.
And maybe I'll be in a position to actually put one of my own.
Yeah. I really enjoyed looking at everything, and what I like even better is when the project is linked right from the thread, because then I can go and look at the yarn. And
oh, you can do that?
Oh yeah.
Instead of just posting a picture? Okay.
Yeah, you just click on add the picture, and then down below it says from stash or from project.
Oh, okay.
And then you can go down and choose something from there, and then it will also link, when you put the picture there, it'll link it back to the project page or the stash page or whatever.
Okay. Learn something new.
Yeah, I like that, because I do. Whenever I go into the thread and I see something that looks cool, I'll click on it, or try and click on it, and hoping that it will take me to the project page, and then I can look at what yarn was used, and then I can look at all the other projects that person has made. I like those features that have everything linked together in Ravelry, because when somebody friends me, I almost always go and look at their projects they've completed and check out their stash.
Ravelry is just amazing. I mean, just amazing.
So, and also, Angela has brought some fiber for a donation. So I'm going to post a new thread in the group this week, and you just have to post to the thread. You'll get a chance to win this wonderful fiber. And this is from the Yarn Hollow. And actually, the yarn, or the fiber that I spun on my drop spindle a few months ago was from Yarn Hollow. And this is called Terrific Twins. And it's actually 2 ounces of each different color. So it's not one solid piece. It's 2 ounces of the gray and 2 ounces of the blue. So that's cool. You can spin them each separately and then ply them together.
Yeah.
So that would be awesome. So just go to the group and enter to win this fiber. So thank you, Angela.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So I think that's all I have. We've gone well over an hour.
That's what happens when you start talking.
I know.
And we both had stuff to say as far as projects and stuff. So
yeah.
it's double the fun.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing your experiences at Michigan Fiber Fest. It encourages me to go next year. I mean, it's so close, and
it really is, and it's people say it's a huge fiber festival. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You can tell me when you go to Rhinebeck. I hear Rhinebeck's a huge fiber festival. But
it might be huge for Michigan. I mean, it's probably the biggest one in Michigan.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. It's nice to be on the other side. See
what's
going on.
Yeah, and hopefully in the coming months we'll have more guest hosts. I'm trying to get people to volunteer for after club, but sometimes on club day you come, if you get here early in the day, by the time 4 o'clock rolls around, you want to go home and get things done, and so we'll see what happens if anybody volunteers to be on the show next week.
Well, then you'll have 2 guests in a row. It'll be great.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.